Hey, welcome back to A Faster Me. This video is brought to you by Building Block Construction and Sophisticated and Swanky. This is going to be Carbon Canyon loop. So this is another, well, popular to me, I guess I can say, popular loop that we do. To me, it's the best, like, kind of training terrain that you can ride, or at least that I like to ride. I won't say that I invented the route or anything like that. The route's been out for a long time. But this particular route in the way that we do it, I will say that I have kind of popularized it in at least the circles that I run in. And so we basically start at the end cycle in San Dimas and go down Grand kind of, or and then we kind of hit a loop through Brea, Chino Hills, stuff like that. So this is a familiar road right here. This is the Brea Canyon. I forgot what it's called. It's like, I don't know, it's like gas station to something. But anyway, I'm just gonna show you kind of like this, the entire loop that we do. I'm not gonna run it consecutively or whatever. I'm just gonna run some clips from each loop with a couple highlights, or of this loop with a couple highlights. And this section you guys have seen before. We usually do like some dynamic pace lining here. You know, we're gonna give it a shot and try to rotate through, but we have I don't know, multiple riders that are kind of new doing this for the first time with us, and it's just not coordinated very well. So yeah, it's pretty much a really stiff headwind here. We got a lot of people out. I think Nick, this is his first time doing it with us. Summer's her first time doing it with us. Dustin, he's done it with us maybe like once before, a couple years ago, and then Jack's done it once before as well. So we don't have it like, we're not in really good sync here, but we do get it going. It's just kind of fun drill to do, and just fun kind of having this little high-speed section on the road. And that's Summer there in front of me. Summer rides with Go Fast. Yeah, she's gonna, so I probably should have told her, because she's one of the smaller riders, and with this headwind and the speed that we're gonna be going, it's kind of hard for her to kind of pull through sometimes and maintain the speed. So what we do here is, like, you know, being that it's a big draft fest, even though it's kind of usually a kind of VO2 effort, when you're suffering and you can't rotate through, it's okay to skip rotations and just sit on the back, stay in the draft, and stay attached to the group. Because once you get detached, once the speed picks up, which the speed should pick up after we go underneath the freeway here, but once the speed picks up and you're going into a headwind and you're a smaller rider, if you get detached at all, it's really hard to catch back up. So you can see here, you can just tell with Summer's body language, she's already pushing a little bit. And then here, now that Jack pulls over and all the headwind hits her, yeah, it's hard for her to pull through here, you know, just to get enough power to pull through. So I kind of come around and I tell her I got her. I was hoping she could rotate back in and just sit on the wheel, but I think she just, a little gap opened up, and that was pretty much the end of Summer right there for this little section. And like I said, normally the speed is a little higher through here, but we are into a pretty stiff headwind. I think Marlena could drop back a little bit there. She's kind of keeping too much speed. Just gets the rotation, starts getting a little sloppy. Same with Joe. Joe can, you know, slow his speed down a little bit and let the guys come through. Nick's doing a good job. So Nick's first time that he went through, it was a little rough. He was kind of looking for a rider, and I told him, you know, you don't need to look back, especially at the speed we're going. Never look back. You just got to kind of move gradually, no abrupt movements left to right, don't cross wheel. I mean, obviously you're going to be cross-wheeled for a second, but as long as you don't move abruptly left or right, it should work out fine. And you can just use your judgment on how fast you're passing a rider for when you're starting to get over. It's a gap open here. Jack just left a little gap open for a second. I started to close it, but then, you know, he was coming through, so I just slotted in behind him. Yeah, but this route in general, not this section here, but this route is just, I don't know, a bunch of rolling hills, really steep, punchy climbs. I cut out some of the climbs, most of the climbs actually, just because I wasn't competitive on this day. I was kind of bringing up the middle back of the group or whatever. So it's kind of boring when you're just going slow speed up some punchy climbs. As far as the viewers, it's kind of boring. I'll try to get another video out of it when we're going, when I'm being a little competitive and we're kind of racing up the hills. That gets pretty fun. We always have some sections where we kind of attack each other and all that kind of stuff. So everybody that comes out and rides this loop with us pretty much loves it. So we've been at this for a while, so the rotations should be getting a little smoother. The only thing is we've been at it for a couple minutes, so everybody also gets a little tired, so it gets a little sloppy again. But at least the concept is down. Everybody knows what they're doing. It does make it a little safer for everyone as well. Yeah, so what we normally do here is after we get these rotations through, when we get closer towards the end of the road, there's kind of a street light there, and we usually do a little lead out and sprint there, and it just works out however it works out. No one's really designated to sprint or anything. It's just wherever your rotation is. If you're that last person there, you kind of start the lead out, and everybody will launch a sprint around you, but not everyone knows that though, because like I said, there's some first timers in the group and stuff like that. So Ellen had missed a rotation. She comes back through. When Dustin came through, nobody was on his wheel, so I just jumped back into the rotation. I'm pretty gassed though. You can see my heart rate's up to 183. That's Joe pulling in there with Nick on his butt, Jack. So obviously we're starting to break down here. It's right at coming into like the end of this little section or segment. Now you can see Jack's been here before, so Jack's waiting for the sprint. And you'll see him start to look around because he doesn't want someone to sneak attack on him. I'm kind of dying, so I don't have much left in my legs. So I'm gonna tap Marlena on the hip here and try to give her a lead out, but unfortunately, it didn't really work out. She got kind of boxed in behind me. Dustin ended up hugging my wheel, so he never let her in. So you see Jack's looking back, and I just try to go a little bit right when he turns his head. But I'm not actually sprinting. I'm just trying to launch Marlena with a little bit of speed. And it ends up being Dustin on my wheel, and then Jack's coming up late. And that's pretty much the end of this segment. It just goes to the light up there. We usually average somewhere around 30 miles per hour. I think this day we averaged 29 or something. All right, so this is actually Carbon Canyon now. Carbon Canyon starts off as Lambert and Brea and turns into Carbon Canyon. That's Carbon Canyon Regional or State Park. I can't remember. I think it's Carbon Canyon Regional Park to our right. Some pretty good mountain bike trails in there with a lake. It's also Chino Hills State Park. So they kind of butt up against each other there. And there's a bunch of trails in there also. If you ever heard of Telegraph Road for mountain bike trails, that's in there, and it goes to a spot called Four Corners. So here, as we pass the park to the right, this is a pretty long segment through Carbon Canyon, very twisty, kind of country road a little bit. And it starts off with a little 5-minute climb at the beginning. That's pretty steep, maybe around 6% or so, 6 to 8%. And then after that, it's about a 15-minute effort through some rolling hills, really twisty at about 4% grade or so. I let Jack get off the front there. I didn't want to chase him. I just, thought I'd let people run by. And like I said, I wasn't too competitive on this day anyway. So I just kind of chill and go at my own pace up most of these climbs. The group was hard though. The group was fast. It was pretty spicy. People were putting in some pretty good efforts. Yeah, we always have to start this, well, at least in the summer, we have to start this route early. As you can see, it says it's 79 degrees right now. We started at 7 a.m. And yeah, if you start any later, the road gets a little bit more traffic, but more importantly, it gets super hot. I mean, traffic's bad enough as it is, but when you're in Southern California, you kind of got to deal with the traffic. So the group got away from me, and slowly I started running down a couple people. This is Nick here. It's just they were going at such a hot pace at the beginning. It's obvious like people are going to start falling off a little bit. And then that summer there, I think I might catch summer. I can't remember. But yeah, for this type of road, it's about, from when we do this loop from In-Cycle and San Dimas, this is about a 50-mile loop. It's over rolling terrain with a bunch of fast spots as well. Not only fast downhill descents, but some flat spots as well where you can do some pretty good pace lining or sprints or whatever you want to do. So like I said, 50 miles and about just under 4,000 feet of climbing. Usually takes us about 3 hours to do the loop, 3 hours and 10 minutes. We chill in between the climbs, so we kind of use it as an interval session, and just kind of hard efforts up the climbs. Then we regroup after, just because everyone's a little different speed and stuff like that. So there's Summer. I think I go by Summer, and she might pass me again by the end. I can't recall. And to the right there is still all the mountain bike trails are there on the to the right of us down in that canyon. All right, so we regroup here right at the end of the climb, and then we're gonna start a fast descent, and then you got like another 15 minutes worth of climbing through this, like, it's really nice, beautiful, twisting kind of country road or canyon road.
Car back.
Yeah, Dustin came out pretty strong today also. I think he shut his season down a little bit early, and I don't know. Oh yeah, I forgot. I think he had a surgery, shut his season down a little bit early. So he was looking good, really strong on this day, kind of giving some of those guys a run for their money on some of these faster sections, on the harder section, kind of the uphill punchy climbs. And that's really what this whole loop is. It's full of just really punchy climbs. I think the longest climb, other than this one, we're about to start a climb in a second. This is pretty much the longest, but it's somewhat flat. Like I said, it's like 2 to 6% total or something. And then it ends with, I call it the Corkscrew, really twisty downhill descent. But other than that, most of the climbs are 5 minutes or less, and they're really steep, up to about 10%. So it's really kind of like a punchy, more like sprinters type climbing day or whatever. But the road or the route appears flat, but you still get almost 4,000 feet of climbing on it. Yeah, I tell Summer this is gonna be lonely for us here since they got that little jump on us there.
Don't worry, I'll be by you. Hopefully.
So yeah, Summer and I work together on this little climb. I fast forward a little bit because it's really long, but yeah, Summer comes through and she ends up running down a couple people. Slowly but surely.
Cows.
It's kind of funny. There's a bunch of cows to the right there, and one of them made a noise, and Summer thought I said something, you know, and I was like, "Yeah, move." It was just kind of funny. But yeah, she's putting in a good effort, and I think Nick and Ellen are just in front of us, and she's starting to bring them back a little bit. You can tell I'm not going that hard, but I'm in her draft, so, you know, obviously she's putting in a decent effort. So this loop, obviously you can run both directions, you know, clockwise or counterclockwise. We're going counterclockwise on the loop. And it just basically kind of changes the dynamic. Even though a lot of the hills are fairly close to the same, going both direction. The big difference is this becomes the fast downhill section, but to me it's a little more dangerous because it's really twisty with a bunch of cars on it. And that Brea section or segment that we did with the pace lining or the dynamic pace lining attempt, that becomes an uphill section at about 2-3%. So it's easier to go fast on that road just because it's a little more open, and this one is really twisty, so you can get into a little trouble. It's more technical, and you'll still be going 30 plus miles per hour though. So we typically do it counterclockwise, just a little safer. Yeah, you can see Nick up there just a little bit in front of us, so Summer has a carrot, starting to dig a little deeper. I think Nick sees us coming too, and he tries to keep us away. He puts a little dig in a second. And I tell Summer, hey, you can chill because he went a little early. You know, it's his first time on the route. And once you're going uphill and you can kind of see the road kind of crest a little bit, and you think that's the top of the climb or whatever. And he just didn't know, like, yeah, we had another half a mile to go. So I told her, yeah, don't panic. You don't have to chase it that hard right now. They're going to come back to us again. So I originally used to do this road on motorcycles back in the day, and yeah, it was a fun road back then. And the Corkscrew, like, that's why I call it the Corkscrew. I'm sure others probably call it that as well, but I call it the Corkscrew from the Laguna Seca racetrack. You know, it's kind of similar to that, but this one's actually more twisty than the Laguna Seca one, and the Laguna Seca Corkscrew just kind of drops a little more. So there goes Nick on his little attack, trying to keep us away. I think he thought that's the top of the climb right there, the little crest in front of us.
Don't worry, there's another
but
climb.
It's not. So I told Summer started to chase him, and I told her, hey, you can relax. He's not going to really go anywhere because he's not going to keep that attack up for the next mile.
And then it's downhill. You see those telephone poles?
And I think Nick was trying to catch Ellen too, which is just a little bit in front of him. Yeah, but if you get a pretty good group out here, just with the attacks and different stuff, it's pretty fun. It's a really fun route. Like I said, the terrain is perfect. You know, a bunch of punchy climbs, a bunch of fast sections. And when you get a little competition out there, it's a really fun route and great for training. Way harder than it looks. On the way back, those last 10 miles are always like, everybody's always suffering those last 10 miles on the way back. And then you have one of the steepest climbs before you get to the end. It's only like, I think a half a mile climb, but it's all at 8%, like a consistent 8%. As you can see, so Nick kind of died out or whatever, and he caught up to Ellen, and you know, we're basically all together still. So yeah, once we hit the top of the climb up there where these trees are, that's where the corkscrew starts, and it's just a really fast descent. I think Jack, Joe, and Marlena they're pretty competitive all day. Those three kind of was dropping everybody, you know, on most of these punchy climbs. This one's not a punchy climb, but all the other ones are punchy climbs, and they're pretty much dropping everybody. Dustin was giving them a run for a while, but overall, you know, before they reached the end of the climb, he'd fall off a little as well. So yeah, that's the top of it there. You see Jack's right here waiting for us. And then you get into the corkscrew here, and it's going to be a really tight left, really tight right, and then just kind of winding down the hill. It does get really fast. It's Nick's first time again, like I said, so I think he gets a little caught out right here and never hits the apex, so he had to get on his brakes. He puts in a little acceleration trying to catch Ellen. Ellen was being a little speed demon today on the downhills. So yeah, now we're this is kind of exiting the Brea area, and you're pretty much into Chino Hills now. And this road exits at Chino Hills Parkway, like runs into Chino Hills Parkway. Yeah, so the good thing about being skinny fat is you can descend well, carry a lot of free speed. Yeah, I looked back right there and I saw a blue kit. I thought Nick was on my wheel. And I think it turns out it was Ellen. Like I said, she was moving down the downhill. Yeah, she got a whiff of the draft, but she's gonna attack me at the end here, and I didn't react to it. I thought it was Nick for a second, and then when I saw it was her, I just didn't react to it. There she goes. All right, so this Chino Hills Parkway, and then we make a left up here.
Left turn.
And this is pretty much our only like planned stop, is we're gonna make a left up here, and then we refill our water and all that at the park here on Chino Hills Parkway. Yeah, so this is the park here, little bathroom. A lot of people out here exercising, walking their dogs, stuff like that, pretty much every weekend. But what's nice too is they have like a fountain for bottles up here. So you got the regular water fountain there, and then if you just come up here to the left, there's a, you know, like a bottle filler fountain. That's pretty convenient. And after that, it's back to the rolling hills again. So this is back on Grand now. After you hit Chino Hills Parkway, we go back left on Chino Hills Parkway and take a left on Grand. And there's some pretty steep little punchy climbs there. And then there's this really fast descent as well. And it's really, like I said, it's really just intervals. It's just kind of like some natural intervals. So we just hit a little half-mile climb or whatever right before this descent. And then as soon as this descent gets around the corner up there, then you have another, you know, 0.2, 0.3 mile climb. I mean, yeah, 0.2 or 0.3 of a mile climb. And it's about 6 to 8% as well. That's Dustin flying by me there. Nick coming up on his wheel. And that's Jack. Jack had a pretty good season with Big O this year. I don't know how many races he won this year, but he was always hovering around the top like 7 or so, top 7 positions. Got the head bob going, so I'm not really feeling this climb. So yeah, this is directly into that next climb. It's pretty steep, short though. Usually we'll race up this climb as well, try to have a couple attacks. But I'm just chilling with Marlena here. At the top of that climb too, there's a nice little park there to the right. It has a beautiful view. You go over, I think there's a statue of like a mountain lion or something there. I don't know the name of the park though.
Next week will be hard too, and then we'll ease off a little.
Then back into another really fast descent. You typically won't go that fast on this one here. It's just a lot of traffic. It goes back across one of the busier streets. Grand is one of the main streets as well, but this is going to cross back across Diamond Bar Avenue, and that gets pretty busy at the bottom here. They just changed the street, as you can see, like they just repaved it. So there used to be some cones or something that was blocking the right side of the street here from cars, so it was a little safer. But obviously, since they repaved, they removed those cones. So as you can see how fast how close that car is. Typically when we're going downhill really fast, I'm gonna take up majority of the lane. Once the cars go by, I'll actually move into the lane so cars won't be able to pass us. I just don't like going a really high speed and hitting a bump or something like that, and you know, a car tries to buzz you really close. So I just take up the entire lane if possible, within reason. I mean, obviously you can always slow down a little bit, but I still don't want cars buzzing us really close when we're at a high speed, just because any mistakes or wobbles are magnified. So, and as you can see, that's the busy intersection there at Diamond Bar. Yeah, and once again, after that descent, it goes right back into another little punchy climb. This one's really short though, maybe 0.2 of a mile. Like I said, it's just beautiful rolling hills. And it's just great for training if you ever get a chance. Or if you know me and you're in the area and you want to join one of the rides, hit me up on Instagram. And yeah, I'll let you know what we're doing that weekend or whatever. And you know, you can come out and join us and hit one of these roads with us. You'll have a slow tour guide. So this is right after the Mount Sac climb. The Mount Sac climb is again one of the most punchy climbs. It's about an 8% climb just after Mount Sac Junior College. And then it's a really fast descent coming down Grand here. And going the opposite way, this is the first climb that we hit of the day, and it's the longest climb. It's for me, it's about a 7-8 minute climb. I can't recall, but that's pretty much the longest climb of the day, other than Carbon Canyon itself. But that's more. Carbon Canyon looks flat, but it's about 3 or 4%. Yeah, sometimes you can get about over 50 miles per hour on this little descent here. Today I think I'm just 40-something. You see the car can pull out, so that's a little dangerous. Had to get my little whistle horn and let them know I'm coming. Yeah, so from here, from Grand, when we do this descent, then we'll turn right on Holt. As you turn right on Holt, it kind of, you're gonna go up to Covina Valley Parkway and hit a little bit more climbing. And that's going towards Benelli Park or Benelli Lake. I guess it's Pudding Stone Reservoir at Benelli Park. So yeah, typically we'll wait on the corner here at Holt for whoever's behind us, make sure everybody makes the turn and no one goes straight. And this is kind of like starting to wrap up the end of the loop. Once we hit Via Verde climb, which is the last steep climb, then the San Dimas downhill, and then we're back at the end cycle. So this is just after the Via Verde climb. This is going down San Dimas, another really fast descent. Marlena just talking crazy and getting on the camera. Using all that effort, knowing that, again, I'm Mr. Skinny Fat. So I'm like I don't know, like an arrow. I'm gonna out-descend her either way. And there's Benelli Park to our right, just across the freeway. Yeah, that's another spot with good mountain biking trails, stuff like that. I think they hold, I can't remember if it's world championships they hold there or US championships there for mountain biking. The only thing I don't like about it is when it rains, that dirt turns to mud, like a clayish mud. So, but anyway, that's pretty much the Carbon Canyon loop. I'll have a map up, probably as a thumbnail. And yeah, if you guys ever want to join us on any of these rides during the off season, just hit me up on Instagram and I'll shoot you an invite. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.